Hello and welcome back to the AA NBA podcast. I'm your host, Aiden Hammond.
And I'm Aditya.
And today we've got a great show. Aditya, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so to start off, we have a little bit of a this day in history moment. This day 2 years ago, Derrick Rose had his 50-piece on the Timberwolves.
Yep. One of my favorite early season NBA moments ever.
Yeah.
That was a late game, so I didn't watch it, but I remember waking up the next day, and it was like finals week or something, and it was just awesome to see him do that again.
I remember, I don't remember it happened today, but I didn't know today was the 2-year mark or whatever, and a highlight reel of that game showed up in my recommended, so I watched it, and then I went on Instagram and I saw he did it 2 years ago today, and I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's enough to make a grown man cry.
It really is.
All right.
So what do we got? Do you want to make that a segment? Like, if there's anything big, like a this day in history thing, and we can just do that for the rest of the off season, or we can just make it a part of the show. Okay.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we got De'Aaron Fox has sold his house in Cali. And I believe he is a free agent, restricted, but he is a free agent.
I'm just gonna be honest. I hate it when media talks about this sort of stuff.
Why is that?
Well, mostly because it's like, oh, a millionaire sold his house. Like, it seems like a stupid, trivial thing to talk about. Like, yeah, no shit, a millionaire sold his house. Like, it was more likely than not an investment for him, and he's just gonna find another house. Like, I don't really think that that's ever a big indicator that somebody is gonna sign or resign or resign or leave a place.
I don't think it always is, and I agree with you for the most part, but I find it fascinating just because he's still on his rookie deal, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'd want to get out of Sacramento, so I can't really blame him.
That's fair. But yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there. De'Aaron Fox confirmed leaving Sacramento. So, next up, you want to do some coaching talk? Got some new hires.
Some coaching talk.
So Mike D'Antoni is an assistant coach for the Nets, which is wild.
This is wild because Mike D'Antoni could. I think this is kind of just like a. Mike D'Antoni is 69 years old.
Nice.
First of all, nice. He knows that he's not going to get a ring as a head coach, I think. He knows that of the head coaching vacancies, I think New Orleans still has a head coaching vacancy. I think Sacramento is going to have one soon. Obviously,
we've been saying that. It doesn't look like it.
Obviously, OKC. I mean, Indiana was filled recently, but he was in the running for a bunch of jobs, and I think he knows that his time's kind of running out as a head coach, and he's not gonna none of the teams that have head coaching vacancies are set up to succeed for him. So I think he's just kind of well, let's get my ring, and I'll play for a good team or coach for a good team.
Mm-hmm. And it's nice too because if he's an assistant coach, he can just deal with all the offensive works, and then he doesn't even have to worry about the defensive end.
He never really gave a shit about defense anyway.
Exactly. Now he doesn't have to. It's not part of the job description.
Yeah. I think this is, first of all, that coaching staff is fucking loaded. They have him. They have Mari Stoudemire. They have obviously Steve Nash, and then they got somebody else this week. Forget who it was, but they even those three guys alone, that is a good coaching staff.
It has the potential to be, but only one of them has coaching experience, so it's hard to say.
But when you have a future Hall of Fame coach as an assistant, that's a pretty good sign.
Yeah. All right, next up, Steven Silas is the new Rockets head coach.
I'll be honest. I don't like. I know who Paul Silas is, but I never really heard of Steven Silas before this. Like he was a Mavericks assistant, right?
I mean, I don't know. I think so.
Okay.
I'm gonna look him up just to verify because I don't think either of us have really heard about him.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, you can ramble for a second. Oh, he's not even on Basketball Reference, so I guess I'm not gonna. He's not even on Basketball Reference, so I genuinely don't know. I guess he might not be an assistant coach then, because usually if you're an assistant, you're still on Basketball Reference. But, I mean, who's the has the Rockets hired a new general manager?
I don't believe so.
No, all right. Well, then I guess this was ownership making that hire. I'm not sure. I mean, managing Russ and Harden is a difficult task for anyone, but especially a rookie head coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good luck to him, though.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that one. I don't really know what to say besides that, especially if they like make a move for Embiid or something. Like, can you imagine a team with like two of Russell Westbrook, Embiid, and Harden? Because obviously they're not gonna have all three of them if they trade for Embiid. But like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, that's wild.
All right, what do we got next?
Next up, Daryl Morey has been hired as the president of basketball operations for the 76ers.
I don't really know how I feel about this. This is obviously Daryl Morey wasn't gonna retire. He's like 48, but still, like
he's got some work to do with that roster.
He does have some work to do.
Because that roster is trash.
It is trash. I don't know. He's not really a guy that I can like. The Rockets are not a team that I can point to and be like, they've given out a lot of bad contracts in the last he's been there since 2008, I think 2009. Like he was there for over a decade, and they're not a team that I can be like, wow, that was a really shitty signing for them. Like I can look at Charlotte and I can be like, okay, Terry Rozier, Nick Batum, Bismack Biyombo,
yeah.
And then I can look at like Philadelphia and be like, okay, Tobias Harris, Al Horford, and I can I can find teams and be like, okay, they make a lot of bad signings. The Rockets are not one of those teams, and I think that's a good sign for the Sixers because obviously Daryl Morey was in charge of that. Also, he's the president of basketball operations, so they aren't firing Elton Brand.
No, but I think Elton Brand now works under Daryl Morey.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, no, Elton Brand was bad at his job, so they really needed this one.
Yeah, I think this is a good sign. The Sixers, like, even if you like, Daryl Morey is obviously very controversial for like his
play style or
his for
GMing
basically
style.
For Morey ball, yeah, for his GMing style, kind of. Screwing over Mike D'Antoni a little bit by trading their best.
I still
center.
disagree with you on that one because I think they both decided on it.
I think they both decided on it, but I don't think that it was something that Mike D'Antoni could say no to. I think that it was like Mike D'Antoni kind of reluctantly agreed, and he was like, well, like, I think he was able to talk himself into Robert Covington, but I don't think if he was like, Daryl, you can't do that, Daryl would have, like, listened to him.
You think Daryl Morey was like a kid at a store? He was like, he came up to Mike D'Antoni all excited, and he was like, dude, look at all these things we can do. And Mike D'Antoni just was like, he didn't want to deal with it. So he's like, all right, fine.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think. And obviously, like, the coach has to be complicit a little bit, but like, I don't know how fond of losing his number one rebounder Mike D'Antoni was, even if he said he was.
Yeah. I do think, like, I know Morey ball relies on a lot of three-point shooting. I don't know why, though, but I feel like if Morey does run a small ball lineup, like if he trades Embiid, somehow finds
Which is
a way
impossible
to
to
trade
do
Al
because they
Horford.
have like the tallest players at each of their position in the league.
But that's what I'm saying. If they can get like a small ball lineup around Ben Simmons, I feel like he'd do really good in Morey ball.
Hold on, I'll be right back. You don't need to pause the recording or anything. Just ramble for a second.
All right, but like, because Morey ball's all no big men essentially, just 3-point shooting, no defense. Well, I guess Ben Simmons is a good defender, but I mean, really good defender. But like, if they could trade Joel Embiid somehow magically, like give up all their, and I wouldn't want to give up all my picks, I guess, to trade Al Horford and Tobias Harris, but if you could magically trade Horford and Harris and run like a small ball-ish lineup with Ben Simmons as your focal point of the offense, like if you can get him to start attempting more threes, I feel like he could be an MVP candidate in that type of system. Especially even if he doesn't shoot threes, if he has a bunch of shooters around him.
Is that something you want? Like, do you want to build around Ben Simmons or do you want to build around Joel Embiid? Because I'm not really sure at this point.
I would much rather build around Simmons just because, like, Embiid, obviously everyone knows how good Embiid can be, but seeing how Houston was run with James Harden, it's pretty clear that Daryl Morey's not the motivational type. He's not going to make sure Embiid's staying healthy, which is what he needs. So, like, that is one thing. And then also, I feel like even if Embiid can stay healthy and stay in shape, he still has a bit of an injury bug. So,
I mean, so does Ben Simmons. Like, if you're gonna use the injury-prone argument against Embiid, you gotta. It goes both ways.
I mean,
like,
the thing, Simmons had that red shirt thing, but other than that, he hasn't had like minor tweaks. He's just had a few major, like, unlucky injuries.
I mean,
like Embiid,
he was out for like basically the entirety of the bubble this year, though. Like, he got hurt.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like that was a pretty major injury, not like just small tweaks here and there.
Well,
like, it's not.
Joel Embiid also was redshirted for 2 years at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but I mean, like, as they like, Embiid has a lot more of these just like small, like week-long injuries that just keep reoccurring. I guess he was relatively healthy this season, but like historically, anyway.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'm not really sure that a player that can't shoot is somebody you can build a team around right now, unless it's a center, and even
or
if it's
Giannis.
or even if it's a center. Yeah, I'm not really sure that the Bucks are building around. Like, I don't even think that they've really succeeded in building around Giannis. Like,
I mean, they had the best record in the league 2 years in a row.
Yeah, but what did they do with that record when they got to the playoffs?
Well, that's bad coaching. That's a coach saying, we're not going to change how we play in the playoffs. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's bad coaching.
Yeah. I'm not blaming that whole thing on the coaches, though. Giannis was terrible, like, for the majority of the second round. And
I'm not going to blame it all on the coaching.
Down last year. Like,
I'm not going to blame it all on the coaching, but, like, if your coach...
There's no coaching adjustment you can make for a player that can't shoot. Like, there just isn't. He's got to learn to shoot.
No, but to an extent, I can't put all the blame on Giannis, because if your coach is refusing to even make any adjustments come playoff time...
Oh, I'm not either. Yeah, that whole situation with Budenholzer saying that he's not going to make any adjustments and he's playing Giannis like 30 minutes a game no matter what, even if they're like down going into the last 5 minutes and he's hit his 30 minutes. Like, Giannis has never had an injury history. Like, I think he's played,
he's had one major injury. Or not even major, but he's had one injury that I know of since.
Did he break his foot or something? Or like?
Yeah, but he was only out for like a few weeks. It wasn't like,
yeah,
he missed a big chunk of the season or whatever.
Yeah. But like, so that's just kind of I don't know. I think that Giannis is maybe an exception to that rule, but like, I need to see the Bucks or a team that's built with Giannis as by far the number one player actually do something before I can say you can build around a player that can't shoot. And even then, like, Giannis is a once-in-a-generation player. Like, that just doesn't really happen.
Yeah. That's fair. Hey, but the Pistons were building around Andre Drummond for a little while, bro. They were lethal.
Yeah, that worked out really well for them.
Oh, yeah. Blazers are building around Hassan Whiteside right now. They did pretty well.
Yep.
All right, next up, we got the Warriors are interested in a little reunion with Jeremy Lin next season.
Yeah, I'm all for this.
Yeah, I mean, he might not contribute much. He might get hurt, but I like me some Jeremy Lin, you know?
I do too. It's always better when Jeremy Lin's in the NBA. Like, last time we saw him, he was a champion with the Raptors, major contributor.
Oh, yeah.
Most nights the best player on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, he's LeBron-esque. Like,
Yeah,
he's
he
got
went
that
to-
LeBron level when
He went to go dominate in China for a little bit. I actually don't know.
almost
his
won Defensive
CBA
Player
stats.
of the Year.
Yeah, which is weird because Jeremy Lin never was a good defensive player, like ever.
He was in China, man. I don't know.
So, you know, like, maybe the Warriors are like, we don't really have any good defensive guards. Like, I mean, Klay Thompson kind of counts, but, like, sometimes he plays small forward.
The thing, too, is, like, the Warriors are that sort of team where they can sign just about anybody, and that person will be at least semi-productive.
Or everybody will say that person's going to be semi-productive. Because everybody... Do you remember when, God, it was like... I think it was 2019, and they signed Andrew Bogut, who hadn't been in the league for like 2 or 3 years, and everybody was like, "You guys remember pre-Kevin Durant, Andrew Bogut was the guy on that team," and everybody was like, "No, he wasn't. He was like by far the worst player that got rotation minutes." Like everybody
Yeah.
was like, "You remember Andrew Bogut, the key to the Warriors' defense?" And everybody was like, "I'm pretty sure
Bro, Andrew
Andre
Bogut
Iguodala."
made Steph Curry.
Yeah. Like, everybody was so hyped about this Andrew Bogut signing, and he played, like, I don't know, 10 minutes a game in the playoffs. Like, he did nothing.
Yeah. I mean, hey, the Warriors got Quinn Cook another contract.
They did, and Quinn Cook was good for them. Like, I was
That's what I'm
expecting
saying.
him to play so much more. Like, with the injuries and stuff that the Lakers had, Quinn Cook did not get a second of playoff. Like, I don't think he played unless they were in a blowout.
The Warriors got Jordan Bell another contract, too. Just saying.
Yeah, and
they
actually
turned
good for them. I thought he was gonna be like the next Draymond Green. I was like, this is their guy
Yeah.
when Draymond starts getting older. Like, he's built like
they
Draymond.
turned Kevon Looney into a solid big.
Yeah, the only person they couldn't make look good is Willie Cauley-Stein.
Bro, they made Marquise Chris look good. Oh man.
Marquise Chris and Maurice Spates had like career years for the Warriors.
That's what I'm saying, bro. The Warriors know how to make players look good. Like, even if you can't be amazing, they'll at least make sure you can be like a decent shooter.
Yeah, and like Jeremy Lin is also one of those guys where, like, you know how like sometimes like a player will pop off for, like, obviously Linsanity. Like, he popped off for like 3 weeks. Carmelo decided that he didn't want anybody else good on the team, so he had him traded. But like, it's and everybody, like, that was like 9 years ago, and everybody's still like, Jeremy Lin, he's still got it somewhere.
He still got it in the tank, man.
And like maybe, but like another player with the career of Jeremy Lin minus Linsanity, like, is not getting the same sort of contracts that Jeremy Lin
No,
is.
but everyone loves Jeremy Lin.
Everybody,
bro.
yeah, I love Jeremy.
Everyone loves Jeremy Lin because he waved off Kobe and then hit the shot, bro.
He really did.
Goat shit.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we got the trade corner making an appearance.
Let's go. My favorite segment.
First up, Warriors are interested in trading for Kelly Oubre Jr., sexiest man in the league.
Dude,
He was
they'll
also
have,
coming
like,
off a torn meniscus, I believe.
They'll have
Some-
like the two most beautiful players in the league if they pull that off.
Who else?
Steph Curry.
Nah, bro, he's not number 2.
Who's number 2?
I gotta think. I remember I think we talked about this in the Xbox party a little while ago, actually. I don't remember who he said was number 2, though.
Yeah.
Not Steph Curry.
It was not Steph Curry, but I think it is. I think it is. He's
I don't know. I'll
taken
I'll
over.
have to get back to you on the next week's episode of the podcast with my answer.
Yeah.
But Kelly
So,
Oubre could be good. Again,
realistically-
he's coming off a pretty major injury, but
Realistically, what does this trade package look like? Like, is this the Warriors' second pick and like for the Suns?
no, he's not worth the second pick.
No. For the Suns' first round pick this year, which I don't know, what is the Suns' first round pick?
Is it top 10?
I think they have like the sixth pick. Oh my god, my idiot dog.
Man, that's
Um,
not very nice.
Oh, she's dumb. I think they have like the sixth overall pick this year. They do not. Okay,
Some
they,
did.
they had like the sixth overall pick last year.
The
They
only
have the
problem-
10th pick. I would
Okay.
not trade the second overall pick for Kelly Oubre in the 10th pick.
No. Yeah, the other problem too is Kelly Oubre had a very good season, but then his value tanked because of his injury. So now I don't really know where he stands in like trade rumors and stuff, like how much he's actually worth. Because the Warriors have Andrew Wiggins, so it's like, I mean, do you want both of them on the team at the same time? Because I don't think you
Well-
trade Andrew Wiggins for Kelly Oubre.
I think if you could pull that off, you absolutely do. Because Andrew Wiggins is on kind of a horrible contract right now. And, like, I get it. Like, the Warriors have very high hopes for Andrew Wiggins. Like, but I just don't see it happening. And I think that you can get a guy who plays the same position. Like, you know, Klay Thompson isn't going to play small forward. He sometimes guards the other team's small forward, but he's not going to play small forward and let Andrew Wiggins play shooting guard. So, like, Andrew Wiggins is obviously going to be the small forward. That's Kelly Oubre's, like, natural position. So, you're basically trading, and I think the Suns would do that because they're dumb. Honestly.
I mean, again, that, like, I just don't know how he's going to recover from his injury. That's sort of the biggest thing for me is, like, before the injury, they're very similar in terms of statistical and then, like,
Yeah.
a little bit in terms of, like, game style, I guess. But, like, he had a pretty big injury. So, I don't know.
Again?
I think it was a torn meniscus
Oh, jeez, yeah.
or ruptured or something. Let me look it up. But, like, I know it was something very major. So, like, that could genuinely hurt trade stock. But yeah, you can ramble for a second.
I don't really have anything else about this. Like, this is, if they can pull it off, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
torn meniscus. So,
Okay, yeah.
pretty major.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Warriors are smart. They're one of the most well-run franchises in the league. So,
Yep.
all right, next up, the Pacers and Bucks are working towards a Victor Oladipo trade. It's coming true. Vic for Giannis is happening, ladies
I don't
and
think we've
gentlemen.
ever actually talked about Vic for Giannis on the podcast. I think that's mostly a group chat thing.
Yeah, so me and our friend Mitchell, who hasn't been on the podcast yet, but we should get him on here at some point. We have this running joke about how the Pacers and Bucks are just going to do Vic for Giannis straight up, and how it would be a good trade for both sides. And we were just memeing for a while, but now these Pacers-Bucks rumors coming out, and it's a possibility. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a possibility,
Vic
but it's
for
not going to
Giannis.
happen. I mean, okay. Realistically, first of all, we know that the Bucks have already said they're not trading Giannis. But let's just say let's actually, like, just not as a joke. What exactly would the trade package around Victor Oladipo have to be for the Bucks to be like, okay, Vic for Giannis, let's do it?
Gotta go Vic, right? I would
Yep.
assume you gotta throw. I mean, we don't exactly have many young assets, but like Aaron Holiday's pretty young, I guess.
TJ Lee,
Probably have to give them back Malcolm Brogdon, honestly.
yeah,
Maybe Sabonis, some picks.
not so. We
My-
couldn't give up Malcolm Brogdon and Sabonis. I
My
don't think they would
biggest
ask
fear.
for Sabonis either.
Well, if they're trading Giannis, they might. I mean, my biggest fear is that the Pacers are going to do something dumb, like trade Victor Oladipo for Eric Bledsoe,
Oh my god, dude.
and that's going
If
to
they
make me sad.
if they actually do that, holy shit.
That's going to make me so sad.
What if they traded? Okay, what if they traded Victor Oladipo for like Chris Middleton?
That would be nice.
I would actually. I think.
Hell,
I, would
I mean,
like that.
considering how Vic played, I'd even take Dante DiVincenzo. I just don't want Eric Bledsoe.
Dude, I'd take for real. Like, actually, no jokes. I would take Dante DiVincenzo, like one of, and hell yeah. Okay, let's actually do like a realistic trade, because I think that if you gave them Victor Oladipo and Miles Turner for, let's say, hold on, let me pull up the Bucks roster, because I'm gonna miss somebody, and it's gonna piss me
Alright.
off.
My
gonna
only concern
freaking
is that they're
piss
not
me
going to
off.
want Miles Turner because they have Brooke Lopez.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking. That's kind of who I'm thinking the trade package would probably be centered around.
You want Brooke Lopez?
I want him more than Miles Turner.
That's fair. That's
Um,
understandable.
and honestly, that does sound kind of dumb, but like, he's not bad. Like, he's pretty
He's not
good
bad,
still.
but it's like he's
not
older. He had a bit of a 3-point slump this season.
All right, who do they have? I really don't have anybody. Holy shit.
No, no.
They
that
really have a
roster is-
horrible roster. Like, the fact
Nico
that I would
Mirotic
probably
leaving really hurt that team.
that really killed them. I think that
Yeah.
the fact that Kyle Korver is probably like a top 5 trade asset for them right now is probably an issue.
Oh man. Yeah.
God, and
Who do they
you know,
get in the sign? And did they get our pick for Malcolm Brogdon?
they got like a first and a second. Like, they got our first this year and like our second round last year, I think.
And Wesley Matthews, right?
No, I think he just signed there as a free agent because we gave him like a vet minimum.
So we fleeced them for Malcolm Brogdon, is
We
what
did.
I'm
I
hearing.
think it would have to be like 2 first-round picks and like Frank Mason, George
You
Hill,
want
and
Frank
2
Mason?
first-round picks. I
They
don't know.
don't
He's a
have
really good
enough
G League
small
player.
guards already.
Yeah, we don't. I've been I've talked about this to you a lot, but I want George Hill to retire as a Pacer. Or I don't know if I talked to you about this a lot, but I've talked to you about this a little bit.
You've mentioned it, yeah.
Yeah, George Hill is like my favorite Pacer ever since I've been watching. He's probably my favorite Pacer. I know that, like, obviously hindsight is 2020 with the Kawhi trade, and like he kind of gets shit on
Yeah.
because like it was
Kawhi
basically
was very raw though. Like he
Yeah,
wasn't.
it was-
he
exactly.
came into the league as a defensive player really until that last season in San Antonio.
yeah.
Or like
It was
the 2
basically
seasons in
like,
San
but
Antonio.
he gets shit on because it was basically Kawhi for George Hill. But if George Hill isn't on those teams, they are not competing for Eastern Conference Finals. They're just not. Like he
And
wasn't.
I don't
the
think
guy,
Kawhi, like,
obviously. Like, it was
Kawhi would
Danny
have been
Granger.
good, but he wouldn't develop into what he is without Pop. I don't think either.
I don't ever want to call somebody like a system player, but like I kind of agree. I don't think Kawhi is like a perennial Finals MVP candidate, or like, you know, having consistent deep playoff runs without Greg Popovich being able to hone his, you know, offensive ability. And like maybe that's just dumb, but you know.
And he also got to, his first finals. He won the finals MVP, but he was able to learn from, some of the best.
Yeah, that's
So-
true. And like having, it helps that you have like in my opinion, a top 5 player ever on your, like, with you, like
Yeah.
on the bench,
learn-
who was still
He learned
very
from
good in
Tim
2014.
Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker instead of Paul George. So
Like 3 future Hall of Famers. And yes, I think that
Yeah.
Manu Ginobili is a future Hall of Famer. Don't fucking at
He
me on
is.
that. Yeah, he
No, he
absolutely
is.
is. He's the guy that I
But,
always forget, but he's probably, like, I always say Jamal Crawford or Lou Williams, but like Manu's probably the best 6 man ever. Like, But yeah, so George Hill gets shit on a lot because it was basically like him for Kawhi, and like the Pacers could have had Kawhi and Paul George. Look how well that works out.
Damn.
Like
Paul George was a solid playoff performer in Indiana. It was just after he left Indiana, he was kind of ass.
They were kind of. The Pacers were. People forget it's kind of a rose-colored glasses thing, but like 2015 was the year he broke his leg, right?
Yeah, post injury he struggled a little bit. But
he was a lot
because before
worse
that
in
he
playoffs.
relied a lot on his athleticism. That's kind of what got us to Game 7 against the Heat.
Yeah. But like I guess my point is like if the Pacers could figure out a way to get George Hill back in blue and gold or whatever, like I wanted to say back in black so bad, dude, like you don't even know.
Back to San Antonio?
No, on the Pacers. If we can get George Hill back on the Pacers, like I would give up Victor Oladipo for that because he doesn't want to be here.
I don't think
dude.
I'd do that.
I obviously not a straight up swap, but like if they were like, here, we'll give you.
If he was like a throw-in, yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
If he was a throw-in, like for sure, like fuck yeah.
The problem is he was solid for them, so I don't think they're just gonna treat him like a throw-in.
Well, that's true, yeah. But if he was like the second piece of a trade, like if it was like Brook Lopez or Brook Lopez or Dante DiVincenzo and George Hill and like a first round pick or two, because like their first round picks are going to be worthless in the next couple years, so they'll probably be more willing to throw in more than one. Like,
and the Pacers are relatively good at scouting late talent.
Yeah, they are,
because they've been in like the 15 to 20 range for the past few years.
For the past 30 years, dude.
Yeah, yeah, it's fair.
People always forget like how good Solomon Hill was in. Like there was a playoff
it's because
run.
he got a big contract and then started sucking.
Exactly. But he was like his first couple of years as a Pacer, like he developed into a pretty decent player. Like so the Pacers are pretty good at like they scouted Holiday. Obviously, TJ Leaf was a little bit of a miss, but we don't need to talk about that one.
He looked good in college though. In their defense,
he did. And then the jury's still out on Goga, but he's shown some flashes. So yeah, obviously
got
the
to
Pacers
get
are
more run
pretty good
in,
for that stuff.
like more runs in.
Yeah. So yeah, what do you think is a realistic trade for Victor Oladipo that the Bucks could make? I'm gonna go ahead and say DiVincenzo, George Hill, and 2 first-rounders.
See, now it really depends because Vic had a pretty like ass season, but that last game against the Heat, he kind of balled out. So it depends on how much the Bucks value that last game.
Good in like 3 out of 4 of those games.
Yeah, but so it depends on how much the Bucks value that.
Yeah.
Because if they value it highly, then I could see if we did like Victor Oladipo, Miles Turner, and like I don't know, like Justin Holiday or something like that, we could potentially make a trade for like Chris Middleton or a package with Dante DiVincenzo, George Hill, like a pick or two.
Yeah.
But I think it's safe to say not Giannis, unfortunately.
Yeah. Honestly, if Chris Middleton is in the mix, I would do Vic Miles in like a first-round pick for Chris Middleton because I think
that's also tough though because the Bucks said they're not going to trade Giannis. If he leaves, he leaves. But Chris Middleton is like Giannis's guy. So
that's true.
I don't know
Giannis that would be kind of like he likes Chris Middleton a lot. That would be kind of that would be
like he loved Jason Kidd when they fired him. He was like upset.
He was legitimately distressed. I thought for like a week after I was like, are they gonna rehire Jason Kidd to keep this?
Yeah,
because at the time he was like a young, pretty good all-star, and like he hadn't quite developed into it. Like it was the year before wasn't it in 2018, right? That they fired him. So it was like I think his first All-Star appearance, and I was like, are they gonna go out and like just be like, sorry, Jason Kidd, you can come back. Like, we didn't mean to.
Know. Giannis doesn't react well to losing his people, so
yeah. I mean,
like trading Chris Middleton could push him over the edge and just cause him to leave. I don't know, but you could also see it as like a, hey, we weren't winning like this. We had to make trades so that we could try to make a push, and like hopefully he just understands, you know.
But if you're like, hey, I know we traded away your best friend and by far the second best player on the team, but we get a guy coming off arguably the most horrific injury an athlete can have, and a center who's been nothing but below expectations for his entire career. And we get likely bottom
Justin
10
Holiday.
first-round pick and Justin Holiday. And Giannis is like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Now, I will say, the Bucks should make a push and see if Niko Mirotic wants to come back to the States.
Dude, for real, if they can pull that off, like...
because
I
they need
don't
him, bro.
think he will, but, like, if they can actually... Hold on. How old is... He's, like, 31?
32 or 33, I thought, but around there, yeah, I think.
He only played 5 years.
He came into the league pretty late.
Yeah, he did. He was 27 in 2018-19. He's 28 right now.
People forget how important he was in that playoff. Like, obviously they got torched by the Raptors, but, like, in the earlier series, he was really important for that team. He was the best shooter.
Yeah.
Dude, imagine if the Bucks could get Davis Bertans, bro.
If
The
they could
Latvian
actually
laser.
if they could pull that off, like, I would...
That'd be tough.
Like, that would be tough. You're right. All right. What do we got? Do we have any more trade corner?
We have one more thing. The Atlanta Hawks are looking to trade their 6th overall pick to make a playoff push.
Atlanta, you're more likely to make a playoff push if you keep the number 6 pick and just draft well.
Here's what I will say for them, though, in their defense. If they could trade that pick and get a lot of, like, a few solid players in return. Because I am worried, like, I was worried that this was just kind of going to be a thing with Atlanta where they're bad for, like, 5 years. They have all these, like, young talent coming in. Because they're going to have to pay Trae Young, obviously. Cam Reddish played well. DeAndre Hunter played well. As you stack up this young talent, you're going to have to either trade them or pay them, right? So if you can get established contracts... Because you can have too much of a good thing, right? You have all these young players to develop. They're going to need money. So if you can trade a pick, not have to deal with that in the future because you're already going to have money being tight, especially with that Clint Capella deal. It could work out, especially if you can get a few solid players that can just help cover up Trae Young's flaws.
Honestly, like, if I'm Atlanta, and this is not just because I'm a Pacers fan. It's not. I'm not just trying to con Atlanta. If I'm Atlanta, I am closely monitoring the Victor Oladipo situation because
he's a good defender.
I mean, the Miles Turner situation as well. Because if you can, like, I think the Pacers would be like, if you give us that 6th overall pick and maybe, like, you know, another younger guy, like, probably, like, I don't know if the Atlanta would want to give away Cam Reddish or DeAndre Hunter, but maybe like
I wouldn't
one of
if
them.
I were them.
I
could see if they wanted, like, I'd take Bruno Fernando. He's pretty solid, actually. He's super underrated.
But, like, I think because Cam Reddish finished off the season very well,
DeAndre Hunter has a lot of room to grow. I feel like those guys are probably untouchable or very close to it.
Yeah, I would agree, I think. But you know, if that's your issue, like, and you think that, like, if there's a guy in this draft, like, you know, if they want to draft a guy like Onyeka Okongwu or somebody like that, that's a pretty raw player, but, like, you know, has talent through the roof, and they're like, okay, but we got to also offload, like, maybe John Collins or somebody like that, like, I would absolutely take him on the Pacers.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm what I'm assuming, obviously, like, I don't know, but, like, if they're willing to trade a top, like, the 6th pick to make a playoff push, they have to be confident in Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter's development. Because if they weren't, then they wouldn't do this.
Which I think they are, like, because, yeah, you're right, they wouldn't do this, but also, like, they were both playing significantly better at the end of the year. I thought that Cam Reddish was... I thought Cam Reddish completely fucked himself. I was like, okay, you were the 3rd guy at Duke. Like, you could have stayed a year, been potentially the 1st overall pick in this draft, and instead you went out too early. You went to a team that is already kind of guard heavy anyway, and you fucked yourself. And then he was like, Cam Reddish in January and February was completely different than Cam
He
Reddish
did exactly what
November and
Trae Young
December.
did. He went from like one of the worst players in the league to very good
Yeah.
halfway through the season.
Yeah.
It just kind of clicked. And DeAndre Hunter was solid too, defensively anyway. I mean,
He was
offense
good
had some
throughout
work,
really the
but
whole year, though.
yeah,
He did not
he was
have the
consistent.
same problem that Cam Reddish had.
Well, I think that's just because he had more room to develop in Virginia. Was it Virginia?
DeAndre Hunter, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, now I'm thinking about it. I think it's either Virginia or Texas Tech. I think it was Virginia, though.
But yeah, like I don't think the Hawks would be willing to do this unless they were confident that DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish can be those guys for them.
Yeah, it's
with this draft, you're not getting a star for that pick because it's not top heavy. It's just sort of spread out in this draft, from what I've heard anyway.
Well, I mean, this is supposed to be a weak draft class, but even the weak draft classes have like a pretty fire top 10-ish. Like, maybe it's a couple hit or miss guys, but you're still, if you're drafting in the top 10, you still have a chance at, like, I guess really any draft, but like if you're drafting in the first round, you have a pretty good shot at getting a good player.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So yeah.
I think that's all we got for the trade corner. Now to close out, well, not close out the episode because it's kind of the main segment of the episode. We're doing the Northwest Division of the West. And if you haven't watched the last two episodes, this is just a segment where we look through each of the teams in, whatever division we do, and we sort of do like one move, like one sign, one trade, or whatever that this team can do to improve either their odds to win a championship if that's what they're trying to do, or increase their odds to tank and develop players if that's what they're trying to do, just whatever to make them successful.
Yep.
And the Northwest Division is Denver, Oklahoma City, Utah, Portland, and Minnesota. So 4 playoff teams, 1 not playoff team.
Yes. 4 playoff teams, but like I was never really like any of these teams have a legit chance. Like even though I was high on Denver, the second they stepped on the court with the Lakers, I was like, oh yeah, that's why they're the Lakers, and that's why they're the Nuggets.
That's the thing, though, is like that's just kind of their team, though. Going into the playoffs, people were like, they're there, but they're not going to do anything. They made it out of the first round. That's what they're supposed to do, but they barely did it. And then they came back against the Clippers, and people were like, I don't want to say falling for it, but they were like playing into the meme a little too much, and then they got stomped by the Lakers.
Yeah, everybody was like, yeah, all the Nuggets need to do is go down 3-1, ha ha ha, and then they were like, but I also kind of legitimately believe that they can do that.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, they can't, guys. No.
It was especially problematic when they actually did go down 3-1.
Yeah, and everybody was like, guys, the Nuggets got them right where they want to.
I was one of
they
those
fucking
people.
don't, dude.
I did it as a meme.
Yeah, but you were obviously kidding.
There's definitely people that thought they were going to do it again.
Yeah. They are one of 2 divisions in the NBA that had 4 playoff teams this year. And I think they're the best division with 4 playoff teams because the Atlantic Division is the other one with 4 playoff teams, and the Atlantic Division has the Knicks in them, so that automatically makes them worse.
I mean, the Northwest has the Timberwolves. I don't know if
it's the Knicks, dude. I guess it's Knicks versus Northern Knicks.
Yeah.
So there's our annual Knicks slander for this episode. I just had to get it in.
Kevin Garnett is the Melo of Minnesota.
Yep.
Or the Patrick
They actually
Ewing.
made a conference finals.
So Patrick Ewing made a finals, didn't he?
He made 2.
Yeah.
94 and 2000.
Well, 2000, weren't they the 8th
respect.
seed, and then they just kind of made it there?
Actually, that was technically 1999.
Did 2000 season, though, or like 1999 to 2000, right? Or was that the first Lakers one?
No, the first Lakers. You're right. Yeah, it was 90. So I got it. So it was 94 and 99 that
Yeah.
Ewing Knicks teams made the playoffs, but he was not really a super big factor in those because he was kind of
He was
that
old.
year.
Yeah.
And it was like his 15th season. So we talked about this. So let's talk about the Nuggets. So I outlined a 3-team trade last week, between actually 2 of the teams in this division. So I guess just kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah.
I not really because I want to talk about the Thunder more than
One
just this.
thing, though, that I will say, the Nuggets have the ability to make some moves because Paul Millsap is no longer making $30 million.
Yep.
So if they can bring him back for cheap, they still have a lot of money to spend, which is interesting.
I think that honestly, the whole thing with the Nuggets kind of depends on what their decision is with Jeremy Grant. Hold on, I'll be right back. You don't need to pause.
Okay. I agree with that. I think Jeremy Grant, if they can bring him back for like a decent contract, like under 20 mil a year, like maybe 16, 17 mil a year. Oh man, those dogs are going kind of crazy. But like if they can bring him back for under 20 million a year, they still have another like 10, 11 million to throw around, pick up another solid player. I think that could be pretty good for them. But then obviously the Jamal Murray extension is there, which is kind of problematic, I guess. But yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. That was my dogs. They suck. But I also didn't want to have to edit more, so I just didn't have them pause. So Jeremy Grant is going to get a stupid amount of money from somebody this offseason. Like
Pistons
I would
or the
say,
Knicks,
yep, that's exactly who I was thinking. The Pistons
because Christian
or the
Wood's
Knicks.
basically gone. So
Yeah. The Pistons or the Knicks are going to be like, hey, Jeremy Grant, we will give you $110 million if you come play for us. And he's going to be like, I could retire right now with the signing bonus from that contract. So I'm going to do that.
Bro, think about it, though. Think about this team. Let me lay it out for you. Russell Westbrook.
Oh, man.
Jeremy Grant. Now let me just do a starting 5 for you real quick. Russell Westbrook. Damian Dotson. They wouldn't have RJ because they'd have to trade him. So, like, I don't know. Wayne Ellington. Jeremy Grant. Taj Gibson. What do you think?
I genuinely think that's a playoff team in the East. Like, I'm not even joking. I think that that's a playoff team.
I
You weren't expecting
Oh,
that,
sorry.
huh?
I forgot to mention Tom Thibodeau as the coach.
Bet. Yeah, I was thinking about this last night. So I follow this dude on TikTok. I want to make sure that I am shouting him out correctly because he's awesome. I really like his TikTok. But I can't open TikTok or else
Who?
I'll call one. So I'm just gonna. So his name is Spawn Hour. SPONHOUR on TikTok. And he just does like basketball opinion stuff, and he's really good. And he was talking about like, this is kind of a tangent. He was talking about who's better, Kyle Lowry or Russell Westbrook, and he was basically saying like, it's kind of a different competition because obviously Russell Westbrook is a better player, but like I'd probably, if I'm a contender, I'd probably want Kyle Lowry, and that kind of made me think about like the concept of a ceiling raiser versus a floor raiser, and I think that Westbrook and Lowry are classic examples of each. Like Westbrook is a ceiling raiser, Westbrook is a floor raiser. He can make a bad team make the playoffs. Kyle Lowry is a floor raiser where he can make a good
Ceiling
team a
raiser.
championship team. A ceiling raiser. Yeah, he can make a good team a championship team. Like if the Lakers got him, they would be easily my favorite to repeat. If the Clippers got him, especially if they offloaded Paul George, they would probably be my favorite for the West next year.
And
Like-
Kyle Lowry and Kawhi would play together again.
Exactly. So like that. So that's just my little stupid tangent. But I think that
And
I guess my thing is like Jeremy Grant and Russell Westbrook could probably put the Knicks in the 7 or 8 seed in the East, I would say.
yeah, possibly. The East is getting a little tougher though, with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving now.
It is.
Chicago has a coach
Oh,
now,
excellent.
so that's
Just exited out
nice.
of the call.
I was gonna say a new coach, but that would imply that we had an old one. So, John Wall will be back. The Hawks are looking to be better. So I mean, there's some teams in the East now. It's obviously still not very good at the bottom, but it's better, I guess. And also, I don't have.
Hey,
TikTok,
sorry,
so
I
don't
exited
know
out
that
of the
guy.
call.
Ah.
Is that
Well,
I was just making sure that like you were just talking about how shitty the East was, right?
Actually, the opposite.
Or like
well,
how
first
good
I
the
s-
East is, but how shitty it is towards the bottom.
Kind of. So first of all, I started by saying I don't have TikTok, but also, like the Nets, who are the 7th seed, are going to be a lot better now. The Bulls have an actual coach now, so that's nice. The Hawks are looking to make a bit of a push. John Wall's coming back for the Wizards, so like the East is getting a little tougher, just a little bit.
It is,
You know,
but like
maybe the Sixers won't be a shit show. Celtics are going to be
Like, I
better.
would
The
ag-
Heat are hopefully going to be a little bit better.
I would agree the East is better, but like obviously we're past the days of a 50-win team being the 1 seed or a 52-win team being the 1 seed, but like
Yeah.
we're still getting sub 500 teams as like a 6 or 7. Like the Nets were 35 and 37 and were the 7th seed this year. And obviously if
Yeah,
they
but
had-
now-
if there was a full season, blah 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 blah, but you know.
Yeah. No, I
And now
I
they
get
have
that.
Kevin
And,
Durant and Kyrie Irving.
They'll
But
probably-
still,
like, if a team like the Hawks or the Bulls or the Wizards make the playoffs, they'll probably be sub 500. But,
oh yeah.
like, other than that, the East is getting ever so slightly better.
I guess what I'm saying is if Russell Westbrook is on an Eastern Conference team, he's going to average 40 points and 40 assists a game.
And especially with Thibodeau playing him 45 minutes a game. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly. He's either gonna completely blow out his knee or have another MVP season.
Yeah.
There will be zero in between.
basically.
So back to the Nuggies. So I would agree that Paul Millsap is not necessarily a must sign, but if you can re-sign him, it's a positive. For cheap. Like for not for like I would say like a 2-year 15 or a 2-year 10 would probably be what like the max I'd give him.
Yeah. I think if they can get
but he could
Jeremy
be important.
Grant, like, even if he walks, they still have room to make moves. Like,
What are you giving Jeremy Grant if you're the Nuggets GM?
4 years, 16 a year.
So that's 64.
Yeah, around there. I don't think I'd go much higher than that.
I was
You
kind
know
of
what I
thinking
forgot,
that.
actually? Will Barton wasn't in the bubble for them, was he?
I know.
That's wild.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
he's another really good player from the, like that's obviously that's not changing the Lakers series, but it's probably not only going.
It's making
to
it a
5.
little harder for them.
It's making it a little harder for the Lakers.
Wow. That Nuggets team, man, they're good.
They are good. They're loaded. That roster is kind of loaded, bro.
Especially because now with Will Barton not, being in the bubble, that gave Michael Porter Jr. some important minutes.
Yeah, so I guess and that's the other thing is they've got so many awesome role players, and then they also have like 2 rookies with or not rookies, 2 very young. Actually, I guess Porter Jr. was technically a rookie this year, like because he was
Yeah.
injured his whole rookie year. But like they have 2 absurdly talented young players, like they could realistically be all-stars. I think that both Michael Porter Jr. and Bol Bol can realistically be all-stars. Is Michael Porter Jr. a little overrated? Yes. He broke his back twice. But
He's also a little too cocky for
he's also
what he's
very
done.
cocky. I mean, but also he basically went straight from playing high school basketball to the NBA. Like I think he played 2 games in college before he broke his back. So, I mean,
I still remember when we went to the Pacers game against the Nuggets, and Michael Porter Jr. had like 25 points on 13
Oh
of
my
14
God.
shooting or something.
Yeah.
And I remember after, like, when we were leaving, we checked because they show like the top scores or whatever for each team on the big thing. And as the game was ending, we were like, "Holy shit! He has how many points? Like, we didn't even notice."
yeah, if Michael
was
Porter
insane.
Jr. played like regular Michael Porter Jr. that game, the Pacers probably would have won it.
Exactly.
So that's just, I think that honestly the Nuggets just need to make a decision on Jeremy Grant, and honestly if they don't want to re-sign him, like he's a kind of forward center guy that like if I'm the Nuggets, I'm like, okay, I've got two guys that can kind of fill Jeremy Grant's role, and like we can teach Michael Porter Jr. to play competent defense, somewhat competent defense. You're not getting, obviously, if you let Jeremy Grant go, you're letting that defense go, and that's a risk that you have to take. But
now,
I have an interesting proposal for you.
Okay.
Imagine this. The Nuggets let Jeremy Grant walk, and in turn bring in Danilo Gallinari.
Oh my God.
Because he is a free agent.
Even though I don't think anybody would pick them over the Warriors or the two Los Angeles teams still, I think that they might be my favorite to win the West if they did that.
That team would be loaded, man.
That team would be
he's also already been there before, so he's used to the altitude. He played there for a few years.
Yeah, that team would be first of all so fun to root for. And second of all, stupid good. Like, especially getting Will Barton back. Like, just getting Will Barton back is already an addition to that team.
Yeah, and he was already on the team.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just having him in the playoffs next year is going to make them better. And they came back from back-to-back being down. They came back in back-to-back playoff series being down 3-1.
Now, I will say, considering the bubble conditions, I don't think Jamal Murray will have his 50-point per game averages in the playoffs, but he won't need to if that team can have everyone together. Aiden,
Yeah, yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I just had to make sure you didn't disconnect again.
No, my home phone rang.
Gotcha. But yeah, I don't think Jamal Murray will be as good as he was in the bubble, but he'll still, you don't just go from averaging 50 to averaging, 10. So he'll still be a beast. But
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
All right, so that's the Nuggets. Very exciting future. Nuggets fans be happy.
And
Next
I
up,
really don't I really don't want them to be the Thunder. Nuggets, I need you to not be the Thunder, okay? You have a generational talent. You have arguably a guy who could go down as the best passing big man of all time and a very good young guard. If you don't pull this off, I'm going to move to Denver, and I'm going to fill that stadium with jelly beans, and you're going to have to eat your way out of the stadium if you want to live.
And don't do the gross jelly beans, too.
Yeah, the gross jelly beans, like the ones that,
the ones that taste like lawn clippings and vomit.
Yeah. It's gonna be a mix though. So maybe you get a licorice jelly bean, and then you get one that tastes like skunk.
Yeah, the licorice is just as bad. So I mean,
okay, we're not doing licorice slander on this podcast.
Licorice is ass. What do you mean?
Twizzlers are ass, but black licorice is kind of fire.
No, Twizzlers. I'm not the biggest Twizzlers fan either, but black licorice is the worst.
You legally have to admit that black licorice is fine.
And you know what? Send me to jail because I will never admit that.
All right.
Next
so
up,
that's
Thunder.
the Nuggets.
I think the Thunder should go in a little bit of a tank mode. Trade Chris Paul. Let Gallo walk, or do a sign and trade if you can. But just build around Shea, spend a few years, collect. I mean, they already have every draft pick in the league for the next 10 years. So use some of those, build around Shea, and you'll be back in the playoffs in a few years.
Yeah, trade Chris Paul. Just please trade Chris Paul.
Trade him to the Knicks, bro. Get some of those Knicks first round.
Trade him to no, we're not doing that to CP3. Trade Chris Paul. Get you some draft picks, baby. Because Chris Paul at his age right now could still probably fetch two first-round picks.
He's still very good. I mean, he was an all-star. He's still a very good player.
Exactly, which is what the Thunder want. The Thunder have made it very clear. They're like, okay, we want first-round draft picks. Sam Presti.
They have not. They have been very clear about their direction with the team.
Sam Presti is like, hey, if you got first-round draft picks, throw them our way, baby. I talked about this 3-team trade last week that would send CP3 to the Clippers It would give the Nuggets Paul George and a Thunder first, and it would give the Thunder Gary Harris and Jeremy Grant. That would probably be the best trade scenario for them if they want to continue to make the playoffs.
And Doc Rivers is no longer in Los Angeles. Steve Ballmer's kind of a baller, so maybe things go better with Chris Paul this time around, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's I would not recommend doing that if I'm the Thunder, because if I'm the Thunder, I agree with you. I am in full tank right now, okay? Because realistically, they're going to have basically at least two first-round draft picks for the next 7 years. Because I don't think they've traded away any of their own. And then they also have 100 first-round draft picks.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. I remember when that trade, the Russell Westbrook trade, first happened. It was the Rocks didn't want to give up 4 first-rounders for Jimmy Butler, but they gave up 6 for Westbrook.
Yeah, that was so stupid. I guess that's maybe the worst move that Daryl Morey made. He didn't really make a bad signing, but he did make some bad trades.
Yeah.
So there's that.
The problem is that none of those draft picks are going to... if Kawhi and Paul George leave Los Angeles in 2 years, those picks will be valuable. And it's in a few years down the line, those picks will be valuable, but in the immediate future, they're going to be late first round, you know?
Yeah. But they also have them until 2027, which, for all we know,
Right.
Kawhi Leonard and Paul George get, 3 straight championships or whatever, and then they hang it up eventually, and, the Clippers are sucking again by 2027.
Same thing with the Rockets.
That could happen.
Same thing could happen with the Rockets,
Yeah,
where
the Rockets
James Harden
could-
has a few more good years and then either gets traded, moves on, retires, some...
People forget how long 6 years is in the NBA. Or I guess 7, because they have picks until 2027. 7 years ago in the NBA, actually that's not really. LeBron James.
7 years ago, LeBron was running this league. Look at him now.
He's still running. Okay, I guess 7 years ago, Boogie Cousins was a Sacramento King. He's effectively out of the league. 7 years ago, Anthony Davis was Rookie of the Year. Now he's an NBA.
7 years ago, Chris Bosh was in the league.
7 years ago, Chris Bosh was a top 5 power
Derrick
forward.
Rose was a
Derrick
top
Rose
point
was a
guard.
top 5 point guard.
Melo was OP.
Melo was ridiculously good. The Nuggets.
Paul Pierce was still
the
in the
Nuggets
league.
were the Nuggets were a gritty Western Conference team that was getting routine top 4 seeds and pushing teams in the playoffs. They don't do that anymore.
Lob City was beasting.
Lob City was probably at the height of its ability.
7 years is a long time.
7 years is such a long
Kevin
time. in the
Durant and
NBA.
Russell Westbrook were still together. James Harden had just been traded.
They were running shit. LaMarcus Aldridge and Damian Lillard were arguably the best duo in the league.
Tim Duncan was still in the league.
Tim
Tony
Duncan
Parker
was
and Manu
Tim Duncan
were still
was
there.
an all-star. Now he's an
Retired.
assistant coach and MMA fighter.
Yeah.
There's so much that can change in 7 years. If you had told me 7 years ago, if you were okay, the Pacers are going to trade Paul George and they're going to get 6 first-round picks from, I don't know, the Knicks, I'd be fuck, the Knicks are going to be good forever.
Because they were supposed... Wasn't that the year they made the playoffs?
Yeah.
One of their 2 years they made the playoffs?
Yeah, it's 2013.
Yeah.
If you were
They made
look,
the conference
Pacers are going
finals,
to trade
right?
Paul George. Yeah. The Pacers are going to trade Paul George, but they're going to get all of the Knicks first-round picks until 2020. I'd be God damn it. The Knicks have Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony. They're going to be
And
good
they're
for
a top
long
free
time.
agent destination, bro.
And Phil Jackson's there.
Phil Jackson.
I'd be like, God damn it. And
Yeah.
so a lot can change.
The
a lot
Warriors
can change.
aren't what the Warriors are.
The Warriors, Steph Curry was like an ant that Tim Duncan had to smush on his way to a fucking
Yeah.
100th finals.
Yeah. So a lot can change. Those
A lot
picks will
can
be
change.
valuable.
Those picks are going to be valuable. And I saw a tweet like a couple months ago that was like, it was like outlining all the picks, like, the 15 picks they have or whatever. And it's like, if they can hit on 2 of these, like if they can get legitimate, like all-star caliber players out of like 2 of these and a superstar out of 1 of them, they're probably going to be right back in the championship conversation.
I mean, they don't even need 3 picks today because they already have Shea.
Yeah, exactly. So just like a pick, like a good, like an all-star, and then like, a Kevin Durant or a James Harden or a Russell Westbrook, like.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Emoni Bates, bro.
Yeah, Emoni Bates. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about the Thunder going into the future. Just use this year as a tank
Thunder
year.
fan. You'll get to watch Shea and be bad for a few years, and you'll be back on top.
Yep. You're gonna, like, if you can just start the tank this year and like just get a great first-round pick next year, along with the 2 other pretty good first-round picks you'll have. Like, every first-round pick is a good first-round pick. Like, there's no such thing as like, God, I really wish I didn't have this first-round pick.
Yeah, you take it. It's better than nothing.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. Like, I can think of some great guys that, like, Rudy Gobert, 27th overall. Giannis Acumpo, 15th overall. Hold on, I'll be right back. My idiot dogs are barking. You vamp.
They are going at it. Oh man. So yeah, the Thunder have a bright future. They've been pretty consistently good in their time in the league anyway. They've been run pretty well. They do still need a coach. They haven't hired one yet, but I mean, if they're going for a tank, then that's not the most important thing. It'd be good for player development, but if you're not trying to win, you don't need some top, high-level coach.
Okay,
next up, we got the Utah Jazz.
Oh man, the Utah Jazz are in a tough situation right now.
This is interesting to me.
This is very interesting.
They did okay in the playoffs, not great.
They blew a 3-1
The problem
lead.
with the Jazz is that they're a team that starts slow and then picks it up. And in a season that's cut short, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So, that could be a problem. Oh yeah, we forgot to mention that players want the season to start January 18th instead of Christmas time.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't really.
But that would just shorten it to a 50-game season instead of a 72-game season,
Yeah,
which is what the NBA originally had planned.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really have anything else on that. Like, it's just kind of weird.
Yeah. The problem with the Jazz, though, Rudy Gobert is a free agent after this next season, and if he wants super max money, you don't give it to him, right? You can't. Even max money, I'm like, he technically deserves it, but I'm not trying to give a center max money unless it's Embiid or Jokic or Cat. I'd say Rudy Gobert is the 4th best center in the league, sometimes 3rd depending on how Cat's playing, but with a center like him, a defensive back to the basket center, you can't give him a max contract.
Yeah, especially like with his, like, Donovan Mitchell is the player I want going forward on. If I had to pick between the 2 of them, and like, I know they said they worked out their issues, but like, I don't know how much I believe that, and I want, if I can get a good return for Rudy Gobert, I'd rather get that than give him money, than give him a shit ton of money.
Yep. I think, honestly, Derek Favors was pretty good for them. Like, if they still had him on their team, I'd be a little more okay with them getting rid of Gobert, but the problem is their backups for Gobert are Ed Davis and Tony Bradley. So
okay, if I'm the Jazz, am I like just going full on like, we'll give you Rudy Gobert, like, hey, NBA team that's drafting in the top 5 or top 10 this year, we'll give you Rudy Gobert if you give me your pick, and then they draft a guy like, James Wiseman, Obi Toppin.
I don't think so.
I think
they
like
go
another
for a
big
more
guy.
Solidified player.
I
Not
think
someone
I
in the
think I
draft.
agree, because they're trying to win. Like, they're trying to win now. Because
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
I
Donovan
obviously-
Mitchell's young, but the rest of the team really isn't.
Yeah. And obviously they're gonna try to like maximize Donovan Mitchell's prime. Like, I know he already said he's going to re-sign, but, like, Paul George said he was going to re-sign. And, like,
Yeah.
you know, LeBron said he was going to... I don't know if he ever explicitly said he was going to re-sign the first time. My point is,
he's
like...
that dumb.
Yeah, exactly. My point is, players say they're going to re-sign all the time, and then they get an offer that they can't refuse. Like, you know,
problem
the same,
is...
like, less money to go get a guaranteed ring, so, I don't know.
This whole Jazz situation would be a lot easier if Mike Conley played how he was expected to play.
I think he still can. I think he had a down year, but he got better as the season progressed, kind of like in the most Jazz way. He was the most Jazz player possible. Because he got better as the team got better. And also,
but
like...
even at his best this season, it wasn't like Memphis Mike Conley.
No, it wasn't. But I think that's also just, like, adjusting to the new role and, like, not being... Like, he was the guy in Memphis for so many years. Like...
Yeah, that's true.
I guess you could make the argument that Marc Gasol was the guy, but, like, Mike Conley was, at the very least, the ball distributor. And now, like, he's kind of sharing those duties with Donovan Mitchell. So...
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of, you know, going from a guy who's run the offense his entire career to a guy that is having to share the ball with this really young, explosive guard. So I think he can play well. I don't really, like, if I can offload Rudy Gobert and get a good return, because I think they can. I think that Rudy Gobert is arguably the highest his value has ever been is right now.
Yeah.
So if you can offload him, absolutely, I'd do it.
One thing I will say, I remember we talked about this briefly when the Jazz first got eliminated. Like, next season, if Donovan Mitchell can just go on a Dwayne Wade-esque championship run, that'd be beautiful.
It would be. I would love that. I would love to watch that, even though I'm not a big fan of Jazz fans, and I don't want to see them
Jazz
happy.
fans are dicks. They're West Boston fans.
They are. Like, the opportunity to see Donovan Mitchell win a ring like that would be so sick.
It would.
So, you know, I think that they're in a little bit of a tough scenario right now because they have, like, a lot of these big decisions to make. Obviously, the biggest decision they have to make is also the easiest one. Obviously, give that extension to Don.
Yep.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I think the biggest decision for them should be whether or not to trade Rudy, depending on how much money he wants. And if he wants a lot of money, what do you trade him for?
Mm-hmm. What do you think? So do you think that maybe, I don't know, like the Warriors would be like, okay, we want Rudy Gobert. We'll give you the second pick. We'll give you, like, not Andrew Wiggins. Like, I don't know. I don't even know what a trade package that what trade package the Warriors could give for him.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think the Jazz should go after a draft pick. I think they should go for a few established guys.
Yeah.
Like, because young players are always nice, but if you're trying to win now, you're not trying to get a raw prospect, which is what most of this draft is.
Yeah.
I think anyway. I mean, there's no
there is a lot of
just...
at the top. There's a lot of raw talent. I wouldn't really say that James Wiseman is a raw talent though. Like, he's just good.
Yeah.
But like, if you could, I don't know, if you can get a top 2 pick and you can get like.
The only problem, like,
I'm doing that.
The problem is Rudy Gobert is really, like, you're not gonna get Kat Embiid or Jokic. You're not gonna get AD or Giannis. So it's like, do you trade him and Mike Conley and try to get like a really good guard or wing and then like a solid big man, or do you?
I don't know if I want another guard. Like, do you just have Donovan Mitchell play like the point? Like, not really play the point. Like, obviously he'd still have basically the same role, but just like have Donovan Mitchell bring the ball up. Like, just have that into his game.
That's what I'm saying. Because like, you're not gonna get another elite big man for Rudy Gobert.
No, you're not.
That's better than
you're
Rudy,
right. You're
or
not
at the same level.
You're not getting Embiid. You're not getting Kat Jokic. You're right. Do you think that they could get Andre Drummond?
I don't think they want Andre. He's he's gonna ask for a max too. You're just downgrading.
Yeah, I agree. I just thought that was a funny question.
Yeah, no, I would not go for Drummond.
Touch
Well,
Andre
dude, the
Drummond with a
Cavs are
10-foot
bringing
forward.
him back for a super max, bro.
Potentially,
He's
but
not
he
even
might decline
eligible
his
for a
player
super
option.
max, but bro, no, even if he does, he's not even eligible for a super max. They're gonna find a way to give it to him, man.
Do they not have his
They are
bird rights?
keeping.
Or
They
is he just
do,
not-
but
or has
he's
he just not been in the
he
league
well,
long
he has a player option, but
Oh,
he's just not eligible for the super max because he's not. Has he been? He hasn't been a 2-time All Star, has he?
no, he has.
Oh, he has.
Yeah, but
Good
don't
for
you also
him.
have to have like an All NBA maybe? Which I think he might have one.
Something like that. I don't know.
Andre
I still-
Drummond.
I can't believe the Hornets really dropped the ball with Kemba like that. He was eligible for the Supermax. He said, "Hey, I'll take a pay cut if you can sign some players for me." And they're like, "How about instead of a pay cut, you take like we turn you
$80
around,
million.
stab you in the neck, hand you a bag of coins for Chuck E. Cheese, and then go on our way." And then he was like, "No, I'm good."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Andre Drummond, first of all, his most impressive accomplishment is the 4-time rebounding leader thing, but he's 2-time All-Star, 1-time All-NBA third team.
Okay, so I think technically he could get a Supermax,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
no one's giving that to him. I mean, it's Andre Drummond.
The Cavaliers might, bro.
No, bro, they got to save that money for Josh Jackson.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They got to leave some max slots open for Josh Jackson and Pat Connaughton.
And Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, bro.
Sexton and Darius Garland. Oh, man. All right, let's move on from the
Cavs
Jazz.
All right, we got Portland. This one's tricky because they were bad, but they still have Damian Lillard. So I don't like Hassan
Trailblazers.
Whiteside's a free agent. Melo's a free agent.
Let both of them go.
Nurkic is back. I think
Actually-
you bring back Melo.
I think you bring back Melo, actually, now that you say that.
Yeah, he was very
Definitely
solid.
let Hassan Whiteside walk. Do not give Hassan Whiteside.
Yeah, you have Nurkic now, so you don't need Whiteside. And now that he's
Give
off the
Hassan
books, you have
Whiteside-
you have $27 million to spend. The
Give
thing
Hassan
is,
Whiteside a blank plane ticket and just be like, here's a ticket to anywhere in the world. Just leave here.
the thing is though, like, so I remember, I think we talked about this a while ago, a long time ago. The season before, when the Trailblazers made it to the conference finals, it's because they had good wing defenders. This season, they had Melo and Trevor Ariza, who are not good wing defenders.
Yeah, well, I
So-
think also part of that was that like Rodney Hood he
Yeah.
had some injury. I don't remember what it was, but
Some bad.
he was out for the bubble, and I think also a good part of the season. And then
Yeah.
who
So, like,
else
that's
did
what
they
I'm
have in
saying
that
is, like,
playoff run on the wing.
I know they had Mo Harkless.
Yeah, Rodney Hood was the guy. Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? It was Oh God. He's in Orlando now.
James Ennis wasn't it?
31.
Let me pull up the
31.
Orlando roster.
I think he's in Orlando now, or maybe he went from Orlando to the Trailblazers.
What number did you say he was?
Like 31.
Terrence Ross. He's always been there.
No, not Terrence Ross. Now I gotta
where
figure
you-
this out.
I don't know. They had Al-Farouq Aminu.
Yes, Al-Farouq Aminu.
Yeah. Well, he's
think-
hurt now too. They can't even bring
Yeah.
him back. But
But he was on that team, right?
Yeah, he was. Do you spend that $27 million from Hassan Whiteside? Do you spend that on getting more wing defenders? Or you try to make a big splash?
I'm trying to make a big splash, and I am not getting Andre Drummond.
Why do you keep
I
thinking
actually,
about Andre Drummond, bro? He's coming back to the Cats. Supermax, man.
I don't know. I keep thinking about that, and you know what? I think I'm going all in for Joel Embiid.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think I'm doing that because we know that the Sixers are trading one of them, and we will get to the other team that the Sixers are looking at. But the Sixers are looking to offload one of those guys. You know, it seems like it's 50-50 right now. Like I haven't heard anything either way. So if I'm the Trailblazers, like, Joel Embiid's looking spicy right now, and if it costs like Nurkic, like I'm doing it.
Yeah, I mean Nurkic. The thing is, the problem is Nurkic is on a very team-friendly contract. He's making $12 million a year for the next 3.
That's
Embiid,
true.
at the end of his contract, is making $34 million.
But like Embiid is also a game changer, and Nurkic is very, very good. But like Embiid is like you're basically pairing one potential MVP with another, like two guys that are. I wouldn't say like it wouldn't be like the Warriors, like it wouldn't be like two guys who routinely finish in the top 3 to 5 MVP voting, but it would be like guys who, are
think
top 10 players in the league ish, top 15.
think the Blazers would have to give up CJ?
I don't want to see that happen. I think they probably would. I think they would probably have to give up CJ McCollum.
Because if
to
they
make
give
an
up
Embiid
CJ,
trade
then they
with.
still have a lot of money to work with.
Yeah, that's true. Giving up that CJ contract, but like I genuinely don't think that it works with the Sixers cap. Like getting I guess if you're trading Embiid, you could probably get that McCollum contract, but like do the Sixers want to trade? I mean, would CJ McCollum work with the Sixers? Like, do
I
you
think
want
he
that?
would actually, because he's a pretty good shooter, and that's really all they need. Like, they have no shooting. CJ could really help that team. I don't think the Blazers would. I mean, they might trade him, but like, I don't know, because the problem is, whenever like in the playoffs, this happened this year, this happened last year, it happened the year before that. Whenever Dame is having an off game or like an off series in general, CJ is the one that steps up.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if you want to trade that, especially because he played pretty solid in the bubble too. Like he wasn't bad. The problem with CJ is he's been the same player for like 5 years, and people want to see more. So then people are like, oh, CJ's bad. But in reality, he puts up like 21, 22 a game.
Really good Miles Turner. Like everybody's like, this guy could make an All-Star this year, and he gets so close, and he's just not. And that's okay
The thing
because
is,
he's
CJ
still really
McCollum's
good, and the
probably
West
an
is
All-Star
loaded.
in the East.
Yeah, he probably is. Like on the Pacers, he's definitely an All-Star.
Yeah, like, so that's the thing. Like, I don't if you can get Embiid, I think you trade CJ with Nurkic, because you get Embiid obviously, and then you still have cap flexibility. But I would still, I mean, it's a thing you got to think about it because CJ's been pretty good, you know.
Yeah, I would agree.
Especially because Embiid had a pretty down year. Like I remember me and Colin were looking at his stats and like, yeesh.
Is it that bad?
Yeah. Compared to last year, oh yeah. Let me pull it up for you. So, this season, he played 30 minutes a game. Last season, he played 34. Last season, when Embiid was like a genuine MVP, he was in conversations. He averaged 27.5 points, 13.6 rebounds, 2 blocks a game. This season, he averaged 23 points, 11.6 rebounds, and 1 block a game. Everything else stayed about the same. The shooting splits were a little bit worse, but I mean.
But I also don't know what, like, obviously they're probably a lot better than the 8th seed if they have Nurkic this year, but are they a championship team? Like, probably not.
I think so. If Dame's feeling it, bro, he
is, but that would require Dame to feel it for an entire playoff run, and
he did it 2 years ago.
And then they got swept by the Warriors.
But they were up 20 against the Warriors every time.
I know,
First of all, Nurkic
like,
wasn't even there. If Nurkic was there, that could be a completely different series. But on top of that, if you have Embiid instead of Nurkic, that doesn't happen. It just doesn't.
Yeah. Maybe.
Also, we're at an hour and 23 minutes. Holy shit.
Yeah. I don't know.
We
I don't
gotta
know.
wrap this up.
I don't know what the Blazers do, man. I
I
think
think they
make a
just
splash for Embiid,
use
they
that
should do it,
Hassan
but if it's
Whiteside
gonna
money.
cost them,
Yeah.
use that
I think
Whiteside
that's
money
good.
and get some wings.
Yeah, that's if they can't get Embiid, then do that. I think.
All right, now to the Timberwolves.
This,
Probably the most exciting
unfortunately, this is the team I wanted to talk the most about, but we
fine,
have
that's fine.
so little time.
We don't have. Maybe we could talk about them for a little bit.
2-hour-long podcast. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Timberwolves. They have D'Lo now. They have Cat. They have Malik Beasley, who was solid for like the 8 games he played for them. They have... Oh, hi, Bob. I think the most underrated thing about that team, like James Johnson. I know he's not very good on the court, but he's tough, and that's what they need.
Yeah.
Dude, if you try to, if you show weakness, bro, he'll punch you in the face.
Yep, he will.
So,
He'll
like,
kill
that's,
you.
I feel like that's a pretty important thing, that they're able to get some toughness in that locker room.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I think that they need to. I think that they need to just go all in, and I think that they need to trade the first overall pick for Ben Simmons.
For Ben Simmons, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah. He would
think
work
if they do
so
that-
well with Cat and D'Lo.
He would.
It's crazy.
I mean, he would really work well with anybody, but like they would make up for his weaknesses because Cat can space the floor a lot better than Joel Embiid can. D'Lo
Cat
can
was
space the
the
floor.
Cat shot 40% from the 3-point line last
Exactly.
season.
He was easily the best shooting big man in the league last year. Like, not even close.
Yep.
And then, obviously, D'Lo, who gets kind of underrated in this conversation, but he's also a very good floor spacer. He's a good shooter. He's not a great shooter, but he's good. And he's gonna be able to make up for some of Ben Simmons' passiveness when it comes to shooting, because D'Lo will take enough shots for everybody if he needs to.
Yeah. And the nice thing, too, is I feel like Ben Simmons also covers their weaknesses because they're both pretty shitty defenders, and Ben Simmons is a
Exactly.
defensive player of the year level defender.
Yep.
So, like, they can sort of cover each other in that aspect.
So I would
I
say
think-
make that trade work.
Without giving up Cat or D'Lo,
Yes.
ideally. Malik Beasley definitely upped his stock. The number 1 pick is going to be valuable. Yeah, future picks that you can give up. The Sixers, I mean, Daryl Morey's there, so maybe throw him like, if you had Robert Covington, that would be perfect, actually.
Oh my
like,
god.
throw him like
he would
Gorgie
nut his
Zhang.
pants.
Gorgie Zhang, he's not even on the team anymore, is he? Or is he still on the team?
I don't really follow Gorgie Dang closely.
I don't know. I think he might have been one of the trade deadline moves, but like, if you can throw in, like, Elton Brand is still in that front office. Throw him a name that's somewhat recognizable, he'll bite. Like,
Yeah.
so like if you can get Ben Simmons without giving up Cat or D'Lo, do it.
He's with Memphis now. I think they did trade
Okay.
him.
Yeah. So that's what I would say for them because they're a very interesting case.
Yeah, they are. If they can't, like, if for whatever reason, the Sixers are like, no, we don't want that pick. We're going to run with Simmons. What do they do with it? Like, do they try to offload it? Do they...
Well, they have shown, first of all, they're destroying Jared Culver's confidence. So
yeah.
that's not great. But also, because they outwardly said, like, we drafted bad last year. We don't want to do that again. So they're clearly trying to offload that pick. They don't want the pressure. So trade it, yes. If you're not confident that you can make... First of all, everyone knows what the right pick is. It's Anthony Edwards. But if you think you can somehow mess that up, then trade it. Yeah, see what you can get. Test the market.
Yeah.
But
yeah. But do you
like-
draft Anthony Edwards or do you trade down and like... Because I think Anthony Edwards is pretty much the consensus first pick, but like...
he is. But again, the Timberwolves have zero confidence in themselves.
Yeah.
So you trade it, you get especially with the team you have now, you're trying to make a playoff push. It's the Western Conference. It's tough. So you trade that pick. I don't think you even trade down. I think you just go for an established player to play alongside D'Lo and Cat. It doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be like a, all-star, superstar player. But if you can get a few good players, that's all you really need.
Yeah.
Uh,
And it's playoffs or bust for them next year, right? Like,
I don't think next year entirely because they're going to have a lot of moving pieces. Ryan Saunders is still young.
Yeah.
But in the next 2 or 3 years, like you got to get it together. You can't be missing the playoffs anymore.
I would agree.
Because they have Cat and D'Lo for the next 4 years together, right? So I wouldn't say next year's playoff or bust. Like, because in the Clippers situation, it is because they're 2 years in a player option. But you have your guys locked down. But you do have to make the playoffs. You have to show some semblance of improvement. What do you think? What do you think they should do with that pick?
I don't know, because they already kind of have shooting guard covered, and I know that Anthony Edwards is kind of like, he can really play the 1 through 3, but like, do you really want another ball dominant 1 through 3? Like, you already have 2 very offensive ball dominant players. Mm-hmm. I'm trading down if I'm the Timberwolves, or I am using that pick to get a third All-Star. I think if that pick, like, first, if that pick lands me Devin Booker, which I think we've already talked about this, like, if you're getting Anthony Edwards, you're just drafting younger Devin Booker. like, you know, obviously the play styles
I've never
are
seen
very
Anthony Edwards play, but
like, they're obviously different players, but like, you're drafting a young guard who's got superstar potential. You already have a young guard who's a superstar. So, or I guess
did you
all-star.
see Anthony Edwards said he was like
Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, he was Dwayne Wade, or he was gonna be Dwayne Wade.
Yeah. So, like, obviously, like, the player comparison isn't the same, but like, you're giving up your all-star shooting guard for a shooting guard who has all-star potential. Like,
the thing is, I think we talked about this last week. I think the Suns are gonna ride that 8-0 high a little too much.
I think they are too, and I think that they want to build around Devin Booker, and I think that to an extent, Devin Booker wants to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like, I think. Do you think that the first overall pick is just too much to ignore? Like, they're like, let's get the first overall pick. Like, we had the first overall pick 2 years ago. DeAndre Ayton's awesome when he's not doing steroids. Like,
no, I think. I think Devin Booker's untouchable for them just because of that 8-0 run. Yeah. If any, because like I think he was already like they loved him already, but after that, I think they genuinely think they can make the playoffs, which is hilarious because they're not gonna do it, but they think they can.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm trading that for a third All-Star. Or I'm trading down, because I am not drafting Anthony Edwards with the first overall pick if I'm the Timberwolves, and I'm also not doing that. Like, because if you draft anybody other than Anthony, unless it's LaMelo Ball, that's the only person that I can see. But I could legitimately see LaMelo Ball holding out if he gets drafted by them. If he gets drafted,
he said he's willing to play for any team in the league.
Yeah, he said he was willing to play for any team, but his idiot dad just completely tanked his draft stock by saying that he wants.
He wanted him to go to the Pistons or the. Why the Pistons or the Knicks? What do you gain from those two teams?
Like, Detroit isn't even like, I get the Knicks kind of because it's like a big media market.
New York,
Detroit isn't
right?
even a huge media market. Like,
like
it's
I don't
fucking
understand.
Detroit. Like, you're living in Detroit.
And he talked about, like, I'm pretty sure in that quote, he also talked about how he already had one son play with, like, an idiot coach or something. And it's like, if he goes to the Knicks, he's playing under Tom Thibodeau. It's not much better. Like,
it's like, oh, yeah, the Piston, like, noted great coach Tom Thibodeau and Dwayne, and no disrespect to Dwayne Casey because he is an excellent coach, but, like, there are no teams.
Sucks.
Yeah, exactly. There are no teams in the top 10 that have an awesome, like, top 5 coach. If they did have a top 5 coach, they wouldn't be in the draft lottery.
The Bulls do now.
Okay. Teams that kept their coach from last year.
Yes, sir.
Bulls if you kept your coach from last year, then obviously you don't have a top 5 coach, or you would be a lot better than a bottom 10 team in the league.
Yeah.
And also, by admitting that, he's saying that he either wants his kid to be the 4th overall pick or the 8th overall pick, which is would mean he falls.
He wants
like, he's projected to go in the
fail.
top 3. Exactly.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
LeVar
Detroit
just
has
needs to shut up.
Detroit has the 7th. He's like, I want my kid to fall to either the 7th or the 8th pick. Like,
Which I'm
hey,
pretty
bro,
sure if the person's taken out of the top 3 or top 5, that's a pretty considerable salary hit, isn't it?
yeah.
Like, you're essentially saying, I want my son to take less money to play for a garbage organization.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, completely, like, do you know how embarrassing it is to fall in the draft? Like, like
Michael Porter
there's-
Jr. got clowned on, and he backed it up, obviously, but, like,
Yeah. And
Twitter
Michael
was
Porter Jr.
ruthless.
had an excuse. He fucking broke his back. Like, he had an
Yeah.
excuse to fall in the
bro,
draft.
the Bull,
Do you
when
remember-
Bull fell, oh, the memes.
Yeah, that was bad. Do you remember when Nerlens, that was like the first draft I watched, so I don't know if you were watching the draft then, but like, do you remember like the story of draft night 2013 was
Didn't he go
Nerlens Noel
third?
falling? He went 6th. He was supposed to go
Oh.
first, and he went 6th. He and Anthony
I
Bennett
vaguely
basically
remember
switched
that.
places. Because Anthony Bennett was supposed to go like 6th. But yeah,
Well,
so
it's the
like
Cavs.
it's always so I always feel so bad when players like that fall. Like
The
Aaron
difference
Rodgers is famous for falling in the draft. Like so many guys are famous for
The
that.
difference, it's different when you fall like 3 or 4 places versus like in the case of Bull when you go from like first round to like 55th pick or whatever he went. You know? Because then it's like you're genuinely scared about whether or not you're even going to get drafted. Like LaMelo Ball, first of all, that family's rich. He'll be fine.
Yeah,
But like
he can.
he'll
work
also
for,
have
he
an
can
NBA
run basketball
contract.
camps
He'll
for his dad if he wants to
Yeah.
for the rest of his life.
Yeah, like he'll be fine. But yeah, the Timberwolves are an interesting case because they have so much talent, but that franchise is so poorly run. It's insane.
It's very underrated for like worst run teams in sports. But like
It is.
like people don't talk about it. Like I always say that Michael Jordan is an underrated, terrible owner. Like he's like I would say a
He's gotten
bottom
the
5
recognition
owner
he deserves.
in professional sports. I don't know about that, dude. Everybody, I guess
Dude,
it's
people
because
are-
like
people
James
are,
Dolan and Dan Snyder are just so shitty. But like Michael Jordan does not
Yeah.
get the recognition
Dan
he deserves
Snyder's
for being a shitty owner.
Washington, right?
Yeah, he's the Washington football team.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
But he's also I'm saying that more because he's a shithead, but he's also a
Yeah.
terrible owner. Like
I remember
and
when
so is James Dolan, not to the extent that Dan Snyder is.
I watched-
Dan
I
Snyder is
remember,
one
like-
of the worst people alive.
when Dan Snyder, like when they changed the team name, he was like, "We changed the name. We apologize to our sponsors and our fans." Like he listed his sponsors first because people were threatening to pull their sponsors. They didn't change their name from the Redskins.
Yeah,
Like, he didn't even care about the
he
fans.
also refused. He refused. He knew that the team name was like racist for years, and he refused to change it until like, I think like UPS and like Citibank, like 2 of their big sponsors. I don't remember who it was, but they had 2 huge sponsors pull out because they were like, we can't be associated with the fucking Washington racial slurs anymore.
Especially when you're in the capital of the United States.
We'll change it. But you know, he's a shitty dude. But
Yeah.
but yeah. So the Timberwolves are a terribly run team.
Yes. I think people cut them a little bit of slack because they are a pretty recent expansion team, but that's not even an excuse anymore because it's been 30 years.
It's been 30 years. They've been an NBA team longer than most NBA players have been alive.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Uh,
Holy shit, dude! An hour 38. Jesus.
if anyone makes it to the end of this, tell us in the comments because that is an accomplishment.
Yeah, that really is. Listening to us ramble about this. This was fun though. I really
It was
I
fun.
really like the division segment.
Mm-hmm. All right. So is that all we got?
Yeah.
Cool. Check us out
To
on our. Wait, what?
you were doing the thing. Just yeah.
Oh, I got you. All right. Yeah. So we have our Twitters in the description. Our individual YouTube channels are in the description. Our podcast emails in the description. If you want us to like say anything in particular, let us know. Like if you have any discussions you want us to talk about, whatever. Check out our personal channels. I already said that, but Aiden uploads weekly. I upload about every month and a half, apparently. So,
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
We can record something tonight if you want.
what?
I don't know what we're gonna record, but we can record something tonight for your channel if you want.
Sure. I mean, I have the Gang Beast video. I just got to upload it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so check us out. We upload on the podcast every Sunday, so check us out if you're interested in that. Like the video. And yeah, thanks for watching.
Bye.